On August 12, 2021, a quiet summer evening in Plymouth, England, was shattered by an act of unimaginable violence. A young man, 22-year-old Jake Davison, armed with a pump-action shotgun, embarked on a rampage that would claim the lives of 5 innocent people before turning the gun on himself. This horrific event sent shockwaves through the community and the entire nation, leaving many searching for answers. How could such a tragedy occur? What drove Davison to commit such a heinous act? The victims, tragically caught in the crossfire of Davison's rage, were his own mother, Maxine Davison, 51, 3-year-old Sophie Martin and her father Lee Martin, 43, Stephen Washington, 59, and Kate Shepherd, 66. Their lives were cut short in a senseless act of violence that has left a community scarred and families devastated. As the investigation unfolded, a dark and disturbing picture began to emerge of a young man consumed by anger, hatred, and a twisted ideology fueled by the darkest corners of the internet. This essay aims to explore the events leading up to the Plymouth shooting, delve into the mind of Jake Davison, and examine the role of online hate and isolation in this tragedy. Jake Davison was, by many accounts, a deeply troubled young man. He struggled to find his place in the world, grappling with feelings of inadequacy and loneliness. Neighbors described him as a solitary figure, often seen pacing back and forth in his garden, lost in his own thoughts. Davison had a difficult relationship with his mother, Maxine, with whom he lived. Their arguments were reportedly a regular occurrence, creating a volatile atmosphere in the home. Davison's interests were often dark and disturbing. He was fascinated by guns and had a morbid interest in mass shootings, spending hours online immersing himself in the twisted world of incel forums and violent content. He saw himself as a victim, blaming women for his perceived failures and expressing deep-seated misogyny in his online posts and videos. Davison's isolation was compounded by his lack of employment. He had aspirations of becoming an apprentice crane operator, but these dreams were dashed after he was involved in a physical altercation with a group of teenagers. This incident seemed to further fuel his anger and resentment towards the world, pushing him further down the rabbit hole of online extremism. In retrospect, there were warning signs that Jake Davison posed a threat to himself and others. His fascination with guns and violence, coupled with his increasingly disturbing online activity, should have raised red flags. His own mother, Maxine, had expressed concerns about his behavior and his obsession with firearms. She reportedly contacted social services and even the police on several occasions, desperate for help in dealing with her son's increasingly erratic behavior. In 2016, Maxine Davison contacted the police to report her son for assaulting her. This incident, combined with his known interest in firearms, prompted the police to seize his shotgun. However, the gun was returned to him in July 2021, just weeks before the shooting, after Davison attended an anger management course, and the police concluded that he no longer posed a significant risk. This decision to return Davison's firearm has been heavily scrutinized in the wake of the shooting. Critics argue that the authorities failed to adequately assess the risk posed by Davison, ignoring crucial warning signs and missing opportunities to intervene. The inquest into the shooting heard evidence that Davison had been researching mass shootings and expressing extremist views online in the months leading up to the attack. Perhaps the most disturbing aspect of the Plymouth shooting is the role that online hate and extremism played in shaping Jake Davison's worldview and driving him to violence. Davison was an active participant in online forums dedicated to the so-called incel ideology, a misogynistic online subculture that promotes violence against women and celebrates mass shooters as heroes. He spent countless hours consuming this toxic content, becoming increasingly radicalized and desensitized to violence. In the months leading up to the shooting, Davison's online activity became increasingly unhinged. He posted videos online ranting about his hatred of women, his feelings of inadequacy, and his desire to commit acts of violence. He expressed admiration for mass shooters like Elliot Rodger, seeing them as martyrs for his cause. He even went so far as to film himself walking around his neighborhood with a shotgun, practicing his aim and fantasizing about carrying out an attack. The case of Jake Davison is a stark reminder of the dangers of online hate and extremism. The internet can be a powerful tool for connecting people and fostering positive change, but it can also be a breeding ground for hatred, intolerance, and violence. The ease with which individuals can access and spread extremist content online poses a significant challenge to law enforcement and society as a whole. It is essential that we find ways to counter online hate and prevent individuals like Jake Davison from being radicalized and driven to violence.